Execute Order 66.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first Hebrews cast. We have a very first time special guest. Yes. The Predator Gaming. Some of you may know him as Mayhem. On the Xbox. But today, when we're talking about the Brute Titan, 6'4", 240,000 pounds of pure muscle mass, man. We're not just talking about a gamer. We're not just talking about someone who curls trucks, 18-wheelers, for a warm-up, or someone who bench presses buildings, apartments, before they eat their morning breakfast of excellence. No.
Have some goddamn faith! In the dungeon! Turn around in the dungeon!
This is much bigger, folks. We are talking about someone who has seen the generations of consoles and platforms and has been around since a premature fetus, gaming, pissing excellence, hitting a multiplayer from Halo to Black Ops Cold War. Understand this.
Why so serious?
We may be brothers, blood brothers, but no holds barred. If we disagree, it won't be a secret. But we are going to have meaningful dialogue. A conversation amongst men that needs to be had in this realm of gaming. So I gladly welcome you to the first Hebrews cast with the honorable guest, Mayhem. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's going on, everybody? It's your brother Hebrew. Welcome back. First ever Hebrew cast. We appreciate you. Hope all is well. Bob away.
Thank you for having me on, little bro. I appreciate it. Glad to sit here and discuss gaming with you as always. It's always a good time. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Just enjoying a little bit of gaming. Took a little time off, getting ready to move and start another journey, another little adventure in life. But other than that, I mean, I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain. I could complain, but I won't complain. So there you have it.
There you have it, folks. Sorry that I was muted for that excellent intro. I want to apologize now about that, Richard. My bad. But we got to fix now. Okay. So we'll get straight into it. So this is this podcast will be not primarily. It's going to be a gaming podcast between me and Richard, aka Mayhem. So that being said, you guys know about me, and this also kind of be a little, I don't know, you getting to know a little bit about Richard here, and how gaming influences him. So, oh, Will McCullough, we just got a new subscriber. Much gratitude, man, for subscribing to the channel and the support. We do appreciate it. Again, we are live with Mayhem here, first ever Hebrews cast. Tell the people, Richard, what was your first gaming experience? What did it look like? And if you can, what was the first game that, you know, came along with that experience? If you could maybe take us back a little bit.
Let's make this quick so we can get into more interesting topics. First thing I remember is probably an Atari game back in the day. We're talking tanks, ricocheting them off different little levels, very linear. I mean, I don't remember the name of the game, but some type of Atari game as far as first gaming memory. But the thing that really kicked off gaming for me, the era that I grew up in, was the Nintendo 64. So we're talking Smash Brothers, we're talking Star Fox, we're talking Mario Kart, GoldenEye, um, Mario 64. I mean, primarily just a competitive couch co-op, bragging rights, practice to get better, don't take it so hard, you know what I mean, type of just, there's a lot less toxic gaming environment as far as if you lost, figure out what you did, get better, strategize, practice, come back, and see if you can take the dub, if you can take the crown. So that, I mean, that was the first gaming experiences that really molded me or set me on a path to enjoy gaming, and really showed me, um, I don't know, that it could just be a positive and productive part of your life as far as just for entertainment value, as far as for escapism, and just as far as just building camaraderie and friendships and everything that goes along with that. So that would be my probably my first really time I just really just delved into games and really enjoyed them would be the 64 era.
Nintendo 64, the good old get good era. A peep game there. Okay, and then to this day, you still, I mean, you clearly hardware. Hardware. You are a man of hardware. I mean, you're there day one. You buy the consoles, you pre-order the consoles. I've always known you to be a man of hardware. Your TV setup is compatible for both consoles, owning both consoles, being able to show the cracks, being able to show, I don't know, their full max potential. You currently have an OLED, correct?
Well, yeah, I have an LG OLED. I want to say it's a C9. So I mean, a couple years old, but definitely, I mean, it's a good model as far as OLEDs are concerned. I got the Series X and the PS5. I got those day one. I was like everybody else online. As soon as they dropped, pre-ordering multiple sites up, just trying to get my hands on one. Luckily and thankfully, I was able to get one of each. So yeah, I have both of those hooked up. Was primarily playing on Xbox growing up. Halo 2 kind of defined my initial online experience as it did for most of us, multiplayer wise. But yeah, Xbox Series X now, PS5. I play them both. I can appreciate the games on both, and yeah, just really, yeah, loving gaming right now as far as all that it offers. It variety of different types of games that you can mess with when you don't pigeonhole yourself to one specific console, or don't worry about that too much. Just worry about playing good games.
So that takes full advantage, right? That's a 120 hertz panel, 4K HDR, 2.1 input.
Yeah, it's 2.1
high variable
there,
refresh
all
rate.
2.1 HDMI outlets. Yeah, it does. It can do 4K at 120. Not a lot of games do that. I don't know if I can really name any that can do that presently. Most of the 120 games are playing at 1080p, roughly, as far as Series X is concerned. But yeah, it does have that capability for down the road, if we can maximize the hardware more with the different techniques that the Series X can be take advantage of. There's a super resolution, all the newer stuff that's coming out that will hopefully ease up and let the frame rates get higher, and then they'll be able to use whatever techniques to get whatever resolution or graphical options maxed out to the best of their ability. So yeah, I'm ready to rock whenever the time comes.
Right, yeah, because most of the, it's going to be a performance mode running at 1080p, 120 FPS. But like you said, eventually, when you hit 8K, when we no longer can see the pixels on the screen, doesn't register, we kind of peaked graphically. You'll be able to fully take advantage of that. You said you have a PS5 and Xbox Series X, and this is where it gets interesting. So you don't play into the whole console war?
No.
Never have?
I mean, I had a preference back in the day of Xbox. It's just the console that I had. At the time, I didn't have as much interest for PlayStation. Prior to having the Xbox, I obviously had a PS2, Grand Theft Auto, Spider-Man 2. I mean, I played all the classics there. So I jumped back and forth.
Right.
But for a while, I was with PlayStation. Then for a while after that, I was with Xbox. And now I have the ability, thankfully, to have both, which is preferable. If you can have both, there's really no reason not to if you love games. So yeah, so right now I'm just rocking with whatever game that comes out that interests me.
Agreed. I agreed. Same reason why I own a PS4 Pro, but still no PC, right? I mean, no gaming on PC, correct? Because this is the best place to play the games. You're talking about 4K, higher frame rates.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be. I mean, with PCs, you have a majority of people don't play in that manner just because of affordability options. But
right.
Yes, if you have the money to push a PC to its limits, it can actually get your hands on one of the graphics cards that seem to be going as quick as these PS5s. Then yeah, you can definitely just by proxy of throwing money at a build, make something that can outshine the Series X or PS5 on any given day. That doesn't necessarily give you access to all the games that PS5 has, although they're sending a lot more of their titles to PC, so that may change in the future. Xbox obviously does PC as well, so you have no problem there. But yeah, if you're a purist as far as you want the top of the line tech specs, I mean, you want to push every game to 4K 60 with ray tracing, all the ray tracing settings on, everything put to ultra. Yeah, even in this current situation that we're in with the Series X, PS5 being newer and pushing console hardware to where it's never been, you still would need a PC if you wish to go beyond that and lock all your games and never have to feel like you're compromising if you can drop that kind of bread.
Okay. No plans on getting a PC. You're more of a console, just laid on the couch controller.
Nothing against.
Just preference, right?
But yeah, it's all preference. But I feel like the Series X and PS5 have gotten to a point now where it's definitely for me to a point where we're getting most of our games now at 60 frames a second or frame rate mode and whatnot, and that should change over time when they're taking more advantage of these two consoles hardware. But yeah, for me, I'm good. I'm good right now with what the Series X and PS5 could offer. No plans on getting a PC.
What's your favorite game on the PlayStation 5? Because I asked that because from my understanding, as you said, you primarily game on the Xbox. That's
home base, but you have the PlayStation 5, I believe, solely for its exclusivity. You don't have a PSN, right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. I generally use the PlayStation 5 for the exclusives, and then I play pretty much all the third party on the Series X, as well as whatever exclusive the Series X has to offer. But as far as PS5, my favorite was probably still remain God of War. Um, Spider-Man and the Miles Morales game that came afterwards, gameplay wise, definitely have stepped it up, and it's definitely fun.
Mhm.
It's really fun to can still go and swing around that world and have fun playing the bases or whatever your preference is. But I would say just from a story standpoint, as well as gameplay, everything, all things being considered, for me, I would say God of War.
Okay. And thoughts on the Xbox? What have you been playing? Have you been like me? I've been running through my back catalog, been visiting the games that have been boosted 60. I can't do 120 FPS unless I'm in here. Then through the pass through, I can't really stream it, so I really limited to 60 even with this monitor. But real quick, let me guys, let me know in the chat how the audio is. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. We're here live with Mayhem on the first ever Hebrews cast world premiere. So let me know how the audio is on both ends. I've been through my back catalog, so I want to know what you're playing right now on the Series X. But like thoughts on Game Pass, backlog, FPS boosted games, and what have you been playing?
I jump back and forth when I have time. Not as much time as I used to between work and then when I decided to hang out with family, friends, gym, such and such. But I jump into Call of Duty. I mess with a little Cold War. When the games drop that I story games. I mean, Assassin's Creed Valhalla was a little bit earlier in the year. I ran through that. I have been going through. I know Shadow of the Tomb Raider was a fun game, and seeing that got some enhancements was fine. I just Tenuous Sacrifice, the first one that just got another update. I know that's one of the games you really enjoy. That just got an actual update now where you can activate ray tracing and such. So I'll revisit any game. I mean, Gears 5 is still a game I'll jump and pop on and play a little bit of that. Like when the Resident Evil game came out, Village, ran through that game on the Xbox. So all third-party games I pretty much run through there. I mess with what was the new twin-stick shooter? Was it
The Ascent?
Am I saying that right? I ran through that for a little bit.
Did you beat it yet?
That I have not. That game didn't. That game is fun. It's a fun little twin-stick shooter. If you have any type of nostalgia for those type of games, old school Contra or whatnot style games, you can still couch co-op that one or play it online. That game is fun. The story didn't grab me. The aesthetic, cyberpunk type aesthetic, is cool. The level design is very cool. It's expansive, big open maps that you can run through. So it's a fun game reminiscent of the old school twin stick shooters. But as far as it being just something that really grabbed me, that makes me want to, there's not a story that's having me on the edge of my pants, or that really wants to make me follow through with continually playing it. But as just like something to throw on, or have one of the girls jump on the couch and play with me, because the controls are simpler, so it leans more towards couch co-op with someone that maybe is not as much into gaming as others. A fun game, but not necessarily gripping, I would say, in any way, or something that's really enticing me.
Okay. And yeah, but yeah, I'm not full transparency. I'm not a fan of the twin stick shooter genre. Wasn't a fan of the fixed camera angle, but from what I played, I could say that the sound design was superb. Like, I really liked the sound design. I played about an hour of it. Not a huge fan. Like, the character models a little too cartoony for me, and I felt like you made a reference to like cyberpunk. Like, when it comes to cyberpunk, and I've seen a lot of people doing this comparison. Like, you can't directly compare them, but I feel like the character creator I kind of got the vibes, but I felt like that was limited, and it's not like you see a person up close and personal anyways, so whatever. But it's just mostly the camera angle and it being a twin stick shooter. From the sounds of, so you like the world, like the atmosphere, and the level design and combat. Like, did you like the quests in it? You said there's something about story, but what about the quests?
I didn't care. I mean, anything story related or quest related, it was just give me something to shoot.
Gotcha.
It was a very small development team, kind of helped with some outsourcing.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's how it went down. So some of the cutbacks or drawbacks were understandable. I still think for the team they had, they did a pretty amazing job building what they did as far as just the game in general. As far as compared to Cyberpunk, you can't. I mean, it's completely two different game genres. They're just set in the same type of, you know what I mean, atmosphere. I mean, they get the same futuristic cyberpunk feel to their environments, and that's pretty much where the similarities stop, as far as those two games are concerned. But yeah, it was cool to jump on for a little bit.
A lot of people like it. A lot of people are gravitating towards it. It's interesting to see. You said something earlier. I'm gonna get back to that. But when it comes to, you mentioned fitness and gaming, because that's a dynamic. Well, hell, we're talking about it because it's a unique dynamic that I can hit with you because you work out so rigorously. Now we all know the video games and movies, TV shows, things you and I heavily indulge in. All these things are comfort foods. How would you motivate? A specific question tailored towards you. Again, speaking to Mayhem, our first guest on the Hebrews cast. How would you motivate the rest of us gamers / content creators that sit on our asses for hours at a time to get up and work out, such as yourself? How do you fit working out in the game?
I mean, you just do it. I mean, anything you're gonna do, you're gonna do it or you're not. I mean, ain't no really secret or motivation I can give people are gonna identify with, because there's all different people in different situations, stages of life, such and such. So just kind of depends on where does health and fitness fit in your priority list. You're gonna make time to do it or not. It's all about time management, and and time management and priorities. So how much time do you have? How do you manage it? And what's most important to you? When you make a list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you prioritize your time accordingly. I mean, but that's just, I mean, kind of is what it is. There's really no secrets or nothing I can give that's gonna make anybody that didn't care yesterday care today. I mean, that's all just personal choice, and either you're gonna get it done or you're not. But it's definitely doable, regardless of if you work a 80-hour job, you work a 35-hour job. You're talking weekly. You work a 90-hour job. I mean, it's all very doable, managing your time. It's just, what are you gonna, not necessarily sacrifice, but what are you willing to give your time towards? I mean, what are you willing to push for? It's all basic stuff. It's stuff we all know, D. We all know this, D.
But like, I asked that, like, how do you incorporate it with gaming? Because I remember back, you're a little bit younger in your bachelor pad. I used to come over, and I was a little bit younger. We almost have a generation between us. And you, between Gears 2 online, between matches, you would bust out 20, I'd bust out 10 push-ups. Do you still do that to this day? Do you incorporate it with your gaming? Working out?
Yeah, I still work out. I'll work out while I game.
Some people could do.
If it's a session I'm doing, if I'm just deciding to do push-ups for that day, or just something where I'm not hitting the gym, yeah, I'll bang out sets at a certain. I give myself a certain time frame, and I'll do a certain amount, and I can do that while I'm watching TV or just while I'm gaming. But I mean, yeah, it's just incorporating, whether it has to do anything with gaming or any other activity you do. I mean, most people, we can find time to get it in. It's just just trying to maximize your time as best as possible.
I mean, what else can you say? What else can you say, to be honest? You wanted to get into it. Let's get into it. Now, Halo Infinite. I'm going to say this. 343, if you're listening, okay? I contacted 343 Industry, or 343 via the form that you fill out through Xbox and didn't get an email back. So I didn't get to experience the tech demo. Were you able to play the multiplayer beta for Halo Infinite?
Oh no, I didn't. Join their whatever first program. I forgot what it's called.
Don't worry,
it's
I did. I didn't get
primarily-
invites,
I'm
so
not.
don't take it. Don't worry about it. It's not a thing.
It's fine. No, I just haven't been pushing towards it. I haven't really been trying to get on board with that or become a part of their flights or whatever they call it. Solely because it's for Halo this year. Unfortunately, it's a wait and see. I mean, I grew up with Halo, loved Halo. Halo 2. If you're big into Halo 2 multiplayer, I mean, you already know what it is. I mean, that was in itself an era of gaming. Getting together, throwing LAN parties, such and such. I mean, that was a whole. We got a podcast solely about those
Vibe.
times.
Yeah.
So, loved Halo, and as the first one was a good stepping stone. Love 2, love 3, 4 and 5 started to fall off maybe a little bit, but this year they're obviously games are evolving, the economy and games are evolving. The way
Live service, say it now.
publishers are live services, the way they're putting things out, it's just I'm not exactly sure how this is going to end up as far as deciding to go open world with a game that necessarily didn't need it, deciding to go free to play with a multiplayer they necessarily didn't have to do. But I can understand it. So unfortunately it's turned to a wait and see, and I'm hoping that I'm pleasantly surprised when I play the campaign. That still has the same vibe, that it still has the same pace with the story, or gets back to a place with the story where the pacing is right. Open world can destroy your pacing. Just by proxy of its open world, you do things at your own pace. Generally, it promotes exploring. We want you to go over here, over there, see what's around that corner. So you have a hard time in a lot of open world games being able to still have a consistent pace for your story, especially if it's an action adventure game that keeps people engaged on a moment-to-moment basis. Possible, very possible, but more difficult. So we'll see what they come up with.
That was good points that you hit, and that made me think of Odyssey when you said that. Maybe we'll get to that. Yeah, I like I said, I didn't. It's kind of hard for me to speak on because I didn't have the controller in hand. I would have liked to see the controls and how they feel. Because reticles seem to be a hit and miss when I was watching a few playthroughs. But what I've seen, I like the aggressive melee. I could say that's something that stood out to me. That I like the aggressive melee attack, and I like the gun models look decent. They sound decent, which is good. I think sound design should be like top priority. If I was to design a game, that's the first thing that I would attack. Maybe I'm just sonically into that. This is how I think. But is it anything crazy when it comes to next gen? No, but it's backwards compatible. But as you said, I'm more intrigued with the story, even though its predecessors, as you said, the multiplayers are huge. I'm more interested to see the story at this point. And I gotta say this, I know that the official word is that the Halo Infinite may not have a battle royale, especially, at least not at launch, and that or potentially ever. But Halo Infinite, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Like you said, we're moving towards this live service. It's at a terrible spot right now with live service. You're telling me a game that's going to be supported for a decade isn't going to have a battle royale when Activision has revealed that Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Warzone have made almost 500 million from microtransactions and other in-game revenue. Trust me, Halo will eventually have a battle royale. I'm not saying that every game should have a battle royale, but if you're a first-person shooter, from a business standpoint, we're talking about live services, we're talking about making money, which is what it's geared towards now, more geared towards now than it used to be growing up. Every first-person shooter is going to have a battle royale. So, and as much as we like to think that this is, a new game, I would say that this is the foundation. Like I said, they're going to be supporting it for 10 years as it, grows and evolves. I believe they said over the platform. So this is the foundation. Like, this is the beginning as much as it feels like it's new. But I really do. You feel like it? Like, do you honestly feel like it would never have a battle royale over the course of a decade? Richard, like, come on.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't need one. I mean, Halo doesn't need a battle royale to support it. I mean,
Agreed.
it originated multiplayer team slayer, and you know what I mean. I mean, it was the OG. So I mean, it doesn't need. I mean, I don't know how that would work with its armor. I mean, I'm not sure they'd find a way to adapt it and make it work. But
Right.
I mean, we have capture the flag, and a lot of these other. If you make the map slightly big enough that just are fun on their own, that you don't necessarily that people will come back and play if you just do right. Um, so I don't believe that it needs a battle royale to sustain itself. I mean, Halo is a big enough name that I mean it was huge before the battle royale games came out, and it can still be huge after. It's just really, I mean, there's a starving Halo fan base that really wants to engage with this new game. It's just really what do you at the end of the day when it comes to release date, what are you giving them? Are you giving them some type of hybrid of all the games that came after, um, with no soul? I mean, but or are you trying to are you staying true to the older games and maybe too true and not evolving? It's real hard. It's a hard balance to hit when it comes to games that are I can't even remember. I don't even know how many when we come to Halo Reach and all the games. I mean,
Oh,
when you
for
when you
Halo
come
Wars,
over, when
yeah,
you, yeah,
a
Halo
lot.
Wars. When you're this deep into a genre, into a game series, it gets very tricky. It gets very tricky. It's do you change it and mess with the fan base that are the OGs and say they want it to go back to how the original Halo was, or but do you understand that the original Halo was kind of slow? That there are things that Call of Duty did and the other games have done since then to make a more fast-paced first-person shooter game slightly more enjoyable. I mean, can you admit that? Because there are some things that Call of Duty gameplay-wise has done a little bit better than Halo did in its past. So you can still, because Halo was the first, and we didn't have anything to compare it back as much back, and they dominated multiplayer. Halo 2 did. As we've evolved over time, I mean, you do want to take the learnings of other games that have came afterwards and make it feel as tight as you can. Um, but also with Halo, you start the level, you have everybody has the same guns. There's weapon drops. You're not paying to win. You're not. I mean, it's just kind of like you learn the maps, you get good at the game, and you tie together different move sets and such to gain the advantage. And that's what Halo was about, and that's what it still can be about. But just with the sprint, there's a big thing with the sprint. I think the sprint looks like it's better. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know if it feels better, but it looks like it's better. So it's just things you got to learn and
Agreed.
adapt over time. And no matter what, you're not going to please everybody. We all know this. So we're just gonna, like I said, that's for me. It's a big wait and see. Is the open world going to hinder the pacing and the storytelling of the game? I don't know. It very may well be. They have somehow cracked the code and made it, and it's going to be a very fun open sandbox that still has an engaging story. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Multiplayer may appease the fans, and it might be back to basics, but with enough tweaks, modern tweaks to bring it into this uh, uh, into this current gaming setup that really just can pull people from other shooters and bring them back. So, I mean, I guess we're just like I said. That's why it's
Yeah.
just a big wait and see. Big wait and see.
Opportunities now, but as you said, Warzone was innovative, and it would be great. Everything is great. The modern weapons, the sound design, the gun mechanics, all that is great. The pacing with the Warzone and the battle royale is great. It's only one thing. It's the damn anti-cheat not being. It's not having anti-cheat. It's not having. It's the wall hackers and it's the aimbots. That's what's destroying Warzone. The game in itself would be great, and arguably, the integration of Cold War weapons and trying to force you to buy Cold War, or else making the grind slow. But yeah, Warzone has done something that no other battle royale first-person shooter has done, and I don't know. I think that it's a great. I think it was innovative, and I think it was a great, or it is a great first-person shooter if you just take care of wall hackers. And if you can't do it on that engine, then say you can't do it, and let's move forward. But when you have that amount of money, don't tell me you can't do it on that engine. You know, you can find a workaround. Is how I feel when it comes to Warzone. You know, but I enjoy it. I try to enjoy it as much as I can. But like when you're speaking about Halo and how you know, the adaptation and, you know, like growing over time and how it's hard to do, you know, I'm going with this, with Assassin's Creed is a prime example of that. And I shit on Assassin's Creed Odyssey a lot, but I'll tell you why real quick, because Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because you still, like, you're playing Valhalla, right? Like, they just had what was it, like Siege of Paris DLC or expansion that just dropped?
Correct. I haven't played it, but yeah.
Okay. The reason why I stopped the Origins and Odyssey is I'm not mad at Halo being a wait and see, and it kind of seems like they're taking their time. It is a slower paced game compared to like a twitchy shooter like COD, but you got to be either fully in or fully out, because the reason why I don't play Assassin's Creed Odyssey is because it's not an RPG, and they keep wanting to go RPG, but then they hold back. Like, it's not consistent. They don't give you, like, they give you a character you can't make your own, right? Like in, like, say, Elder Scrolls or something like that. So first, the dialogue options are gender neutral, so you don't get the quirks of either being a male or female. As such, you know, such as the media would like you to believe there's no difference between male and female, there are, and they act differently and say different things. So there's no core traits. And I played as Cassandra. There's no core traits. There's not a character with core traits. Like, she has no foundation. They try to give a little bit of backlog, you know, with a pre-built face and all that, but you don't create the character, you know, from a character creator, like with, you know, the Ascent, which is a better RPG than like the Assassin's Creed games. So like they did half the work for you trying to create this character with a background and a pre-built face and model, but no character, saying, here, you make the choices. You can't have both. I feel like you gotta, you know, either, you can't be in the middle. So I'm saying, like, the same with this is what I don't want to see Halo do. You can't have both. It's lazy to go in between. You can only have one or the other. And I feel they missed a strong opportunity for a good RPG when it came to Odyssey. Like, everything just felt neutral, just meh, you know, from side quests to the dialogue choices and whatnot. And that's why I like Origins, because it had an established character, an established protagonist, knew what it was. They're trying to make the adjustment to, you know, Odyssey or to RPG and, you know, full blown RPG experience on these vast open worlds. We'll see with the next one, you know, with you know, they're supposed to be multiplayer only live service, but modern time, as you wanted, always take it there. But that's why I really couldn't get into Odyssey and stay with Origins. And then, you know, with Valhalla, then it didn't have anything that sunk its teeth in me to where I was like, okay, I want to experience Valhalla. It felt like the same thing, you know, reskin. So I understand what you're saying. It's hard to appeal to the veterans and then also cater to new players, or just, what would you say? Game design. All I'm seeing is live service. Otherwise, you know, because if you revert back to single player, there's no issue. But yeah, I
thought your main issue with Assassin's Creed, because character-wise, I thought they did a fine job with Odyssey, especially with Valhalla, as far as adapting. I mean, the dialogue in either never jumped to me out as this is not something a guy would say and not something a girl would say. Neither their personalities, I think, came out quite well. Now, I know that I really thought Assassin's Creed, your problem for me, yeah, they worked.
Gotcha.
But with Assassin's Creed, I know one of your main problems that we have spoken about previously was their stray away from the original Assassin's Creed lore and
assassin
and really story.
100%.
So, but the original one, there was no there was no RPG elements. The original one, there was no character creator.
Right.
You were given Altair. I mean, you were given these characters. You were given you were slowly unraveling their stories and how they connected.
That's what I'm
So
saying. Ezio and all
those
them.
things, yeah, those things were not in any way. I mean, there were no RPG. There was really no customizing those characters, and there really wasn't any RPG elements in those original Assassin's Creed games.
Right.
So I didn't think that in itself would be your problem, because that would inherently kind of bring it back to the original ones, not open it up more and push it further into that RPG territory. So, do you still? I mean, are these two separate issues that you have?
No, no, no.
Assassin's Creed games currently,
I was drawing a
or which
parallel.
are you leaning more towards? You want it to be more of an RPG and less like the originals, or is it more so you want it to go back to how the originals were, or only in the way of story, and you want it to evolve as far as the gameplay mechanics?
No, I was merely drawing a parallel between you can't go halfway in and halfway out. I'm fully under the impression, and quickly answer your question, what I prefer is it would be the single player pre-established character. You learn the backstory, like you said, Altair, Ezio, Auditore, Differenze, to be specific. All these great characters, Bayek and all that. But the issue that I had with Odyssey was they got stuck in the middle with trying to go, saying it's an RPG. Like, what I led with was it's not an RPG and it's not consistent. Excuse me. And I was saying Halo has to make the decision to either stay true to its core or adjust to this live, or do the live service spiel and do the battle royale, and not try to hide that you're not going to do a battle royale when this game's going to be supported for 10 years. I was saying you got to choose what do you want to be? Are you going to stick to the old meta, or are you going to go with the new live service and support the game that way and have a battle royale, but just say you're not going to? That's the same. I drew a parallel with Odyssey because I saw the same thing. They're trying to go RPG. If you want to go RPG, that's fine. Full-blown RPG in these vast open worlds. But they didn't do it, is what I was saying. They give you a character. If you're going to go full-blown RPG, you like in Cyberpunk, you make your character from ground up, the face models, all that. You build this character. Your dialogue is meaningful. And again, I understand you could say still getting their feet wet with becoming an RPG and the dialogue options and tinkering and kind of refining that. Okay. But I felt no core traits. I didn't feel like any sort of, like when it came to the dialogue, I didn't feel, and especially the quest, I didn't feel like it just felt meh. It felt bland. It didn't feel like an RPG. It didn't feel like what I did mattered when it came to Odyssey and playing as Cassandra. I felt like she had no character traits. Like you say, you feel personality, like I got none of that. But I feel that's a problem when you try to have this pre-built character, and yeah, she has a background, but yet you make the choices. You can go slaughter sheep, and then you can go, have sex with someone's wife or husband, whichever you prefer. It's just too inconsistent. It doesn't make sense to me, and I feel like they missed. Because they went in between, I feel like they missed opportunity for a great RPG.
Okay. Well, you walk that line when you want to.
But I hope to see that transition, go full in.
Versus not.
I'll give up the old Assassin's Creed formula, so to speak, but definitely that is and they try to bring back with Valhalla the hood, and they try to bring back some Assassin's Creed elements, but nothing sunk their teeth into me. There was no feature. I didn't see that gimmick. It's like, okay, I gotta buy Valhalla. I didn't see it yet. Maybe the next one, maybe not. I know they tried to do the social stealth and all that, and the hidden blade, but not enough. Like they said in their trailer, they're talking about the combat system. They said, or you can go stealth, as if it was like a secondary option, as if we're not playing an Assassin's Creed game. Dealing the details, what's going on, man? Appreciate you for tuning in, Abu Gamers. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate all the support. We are live with your Mayhem, your boy Mayhem, on our first ever Hebrews cast. But Assassin's Creed, real quick. Where is it here? Because that's actually a perfect segue because Assassin's Creed game director is the one directing the new Dead Space remake. Now, have you played Dead Space remake? Or it's not remake. Have you played Dead Space? Because when I was playing it on I think it was the 1X, and I was saying you got to play this game. I don't know if you said you played it, checked it out when it first came out and never finished it, or you never touched it. Dead Space.
I played it back in the day originally when it dropped.
And
I
beat
can't
it?
even. I can't. I was about to say that. I don't remember
Okay.
if I beat it. What stands out about that game, or what did, was just the atmosphere. It was definitely a very cool mix of the action horror genre, where you felt a little definitely more in control than say your Resident Evil games and games of that nature. But it was at a slower pace, so you're not doing you're not playing your typical third person action game where you're mowing down countless enemies. It was definitely more methodical, and it had definitely had a cool, creepy atmosphere. And you know what I mean, the dismemberment was big. Was definitely an aspect of that back in the day. Horizontal, vertical, how you could change your gun. It was cool. It's definitely cool. I know it's well revered, so I'm excited to see it come back. And if done right, I think it can definitely add. There's definitely a niche, or there's definitely an area or a lane that it can take that's really unfilled right now. Really don't have, that is a creepy game, third person action game that really can. I don't know, because Resident Evil now has kind of left the horror genre in some ways. I mean, especially
Literally said they were gonna. Sorry to cut you off. Literally said they intentionally made Village less scary. I think that's all you gotta say.
Yeah, but but the one previous to that, definitely did have its moments, and the environment was creepy. So don't let me say it's completely gone. But again, Dead Space, we're talking about cool ways to kill your enemies, dismemberment. I'm not sure they're bringing that back. I'm assuming it's going to come back in a big way. Just the creepiness, the environment, taking these monsters down gives you more of an ability, or gives you more chances to really get in there. Customize your guns, things that Resident Evil is not going to do. They're about limited ammo. They're about recently with Village, I already beat the game, ran through it. I went and unlocked the unlimited ammo or whatnot for most of the guns. When you use that in that game and you're just spraying around, you can see how much with the enemies, with the environments, with the way that the environment reacts to you or doesn't react to you shooting things. It's built around you barely taking any shots, about you conserving ammo, about you. That it's how the game is really made, and it really shows when you have bullets to play with. So I think Dead Space is definitely going to be able to fill that void for people that maybe love the horror genre, but don't want to be as restricted in a game like Resident Evil. So I think it definitely has massive potential.
Had a perfectly executed and presented HUD-less experience. I was watching the director talk about it. Did you notice how there was no HUD? You had to click in a joystick and it'll show you on the ground. Like, it had no HUD.
Oh yeah,
very innovative.
It was cool.
You're helping running up the back. It forced you to concentrate under pressure via the dismemberment system. Like, if you panicked, you literally suffered for wasting ammo and panicking. It did have that element to it, and like you said, the atmosphere. It's my favorite horror game. Dead Space by far. I'm glad it's getting a remake. What bothers me, and I can speak about Dead Space all day. I don't want to do that, run out of time here. But what bothers me, what I'm kind of concerned about is Eric. I think Eric right here, Baptizat. His credits include, and this is the Assassin's Creed game director that's going to be making the Dead Space remake. He made Valhalla, Black Flag, Unity, and Origins. No experience in the horror genre. That's the only thing that has me concerned. Is that Assassin's Creed director is, you see what I'm saying? Unlike someone coming over from, like you said, maybe, didn't like it, Resident Evil came over, game dev came over. That's the only thing that has me. And I love, other than I'm played Valhalla, but Black Flag, I like Unity, and Origins. Love those games. Not a horror game. So that's the only thing I have to say about that. If it, you kind of think about it. But yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, he left and joined EA Motive. It was on his LinkedIn profile, game director of Dead Space. So that was interesting. I just found that out as of recently. I didn't want to go there. Battlefield. You saw my video. I kind of don't. Do you want to speak on Battlefield 2042? Yeah. What do you feel? That's because that's selfish of me. Are you anticipating Battlefield 2042? Are you?
You goddamn right I am.
Oh God,
No,
I don't want to go here.
I'm looking.
Oh God, here it.
Oh,
now here is the
you
divide,
already know.
guys. That you guys want. Here's the content. No, okay.
Nah,
Sell me on it.
Battlefield
Why should I buy it for $70? Go ahead.
Battlefield looks fun as hell. No one does Battlefield like Battlefield. All right, you have all these battle royale games that, they wanted the promise of 100 players on a huge open map, where you have these spurts of combat, these spurts of action. I mean, Battlefield.
I'm stretching, by the way.
It is a battlefield. We're bringing tanks. We're bringing vehicles. We're bringing armies versus each other. We're talking about all-out action. Now, the last couple Battlefield games, we're talking Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, slightly disappointing in the aspect was I didn't want to be in that time period. And you did Battlefield 1. I was hoping Battlefield, the next game, they were going to step it up and do something like they did this, near futuristic. I don't want lasers. They ain't got lasers. But it is in the time period that Battlefield, I think, thrives in. And so when they did Battlefield 5 after Battlefield 1, there was, I think, a lot of disappointment as far as them deciding to stick back in that time frame. But now that they seem to be bringing back Levolution in a big way, these consoles nowadays with these games, you have so many multiplayer shooter games. Let's bring in different variables. Let's bring in different things that change up the battlefield. And that's what they're doing. They're bringing it back in a big way with the tornadoes and the way the storms interact with the levels, from how they look from the beginning, for how they start to look towards the end, from what I've seen. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for Battlefield. This is what they do. For a lot of the people that love Battlefield 4, I mean, this is the proper type of sequel to that game, as far as multiplayer is concerned, that a lot of us have been waiting for. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. Go ahead and tell me why you're not excited. Oh Lord.
I mean, it's rumored, but so are Last of Us 2. Tornado does 0 destructibility to the buildings. This has been reported. Merely a gimmick. But it does spawn randomly. But, well, Last of Us 2 is correct, but we'll see. You're right. We'll see when it comes to that. But $70, right off the gate, I was turned off. $70 for standard edition. Now, no campaign. We spoke on this before. Okay, Battlefield had, very, when it comes to campaigns, they're very minimal anyways. But for $70, add a damn campaign. But we're talking cross-gen. The graphics look like they're from the 360 era, straight out the box. Having to always be online, like it's a subscription service. Overhyped portal mode that nobody will use after 2 weeks. We're talking about they're bringing back old levels from the other games. This is an incomplete game, Richard. How do you not see this? It's an incomplete game.
You said graphics from the
season
360
pass
era.
filled with gonna be a season pass filled with microtransactions. Like I see right through the veil. When I look at it, it was nothing. And I was watching Dr. Disrespect's stream and literally said the same thing. I don't know if that was any validity to you or any credit, but literally said it looks like from the 360. Exactly what I said. I had to clip it. It doesn't. My main problem is them asking $70 for a cross-gen game that looks like it's from the 360 era.
None of the games that came out, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4 at the time it came out, and Battlefield 5. None of those games from the Frostbite engine have disappointed visually. All of those games have been some of the best first-person shooters in multiplayer and in their campaign that drop the time that they drop, the time that they're released. So I haven't had a full-on gameplay. I haven't full-on played this new game. But even from what the trailers have showed me, and yes, the tornadoes pick up vehicles, throw them around. You can get caught in the tornado and be thrown, use the wingsuit to actually traverse the level. So I definitely think it's a lot more than a gimmick as far as the interactivity with the tornadoes.
We'll see if there's destructibility to the buildings. If there's none.
But it's Battlefield. So regardless of the tornado does it or not, of course the environment's going to be destructible. It's Battlefield.
But they're known for their
regardless of tornado-
destructibility. How are you not going to have the tornado where you're trying to sell people on this dynamic weather element and not have it do destructibility to the buildings? I could
But I
be
think
wrong,
it's
but if
gonna
that comes
cause-
out, I'm gonna, I'll be making a
I think
video on it.
I think it is going to cause destruction in some aspects. The fact that it's throwing vehicles around, I think that's a cool aspect. The fact that you can use it to fly across the level, I think that's also a very interesting aspect of it. And I think that regardless of the tornadoes cause destruction or not, I mean, you still got to give the characters, the players, something to do. I mean, we're going to have grenade launchers and all these vehicles, tanks that can punch holes. And I mean, Battlefield is the most. You can't talk about any other game's destructibility multiplayer wise. Since gosh damn Guerrilla, what was that game back in the day where you could deform the terrain? You can't talk about any other game, whether it's Warzone, Call of Duty.
What are you talking about? You said Guerrilla Games?
As far as destructibility, you can't. No, not Guerrilla Games. It was that game back in the day. It was where you could deform the ground. You could literally dig into the ground. They had different guns that deformed. Everything was destructible. It was crazy. But
I feel like I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
Yeah,
we'll move forward.
You can't speak of any type of any other multiplayer game's destructibility and compare it to Battlefield, because Battlefield's going to blow it out the water every single time. Every single time. It's the top in its class when it comes to destructibility. So if you want to talk about destructibility,
agreed. That's why I think that the tornado has to have building destructibility. That's what I'm saying.
But if a big tornado sweeps through a level and destroys everything in its path, now you don't have a level. So I think it's going to be aspects, and there's going to be limits, and there's going to be ways in which you're still going to destroy things with your weapons, with your grenades, this and that. All that's still going to be there, and this is going to bring another interesting aspect of traversal, of throwing cars and stuff around, of sucking up people. I mean, all these things are going to bring new aspects to the game and fun aspects to the game. And I don't think it has to go through and destroy the whole level for it to matter, because again, you're still gonna need there has to be limits. You're gonna have a level to play on. It can't just come through and destroy every single thing in its path. I think it's gonna impede on gameplay. And you got to have a balance of having fun gameplay while with the tornado also coming and bringing fun aspects to it. Again, what I mentioned before, traversal. And throwing characters around and being worried about being sucked in where you have to get into a building. These are the fun type of gameplay mechanics that it's going to bring to this game that is different from the last, building on the Levolution that they had already put into their past previous games. So I mean, I definitely think it's going to be a positive, not a negative, in all aspects concerning the tornadoes.
We'll have to see. Yeah.
And graphic wise, every Battlefield game on the Frostbite engine has came out and to its competitors, to its brethren, the Call of Duties and such, has always stood out, shadow wise, lighting wise, almost every single year. So to be concerned about, you would need to give me a reason to be concerned about Battlefield 2044 and everything in its past. I think it looks fine. I've told you.
Maybe I need to get an
OLED.
Of that. That's it. I'm upgrading to an OLED.
You see the storm when you see the storm rolling in, the clouds, the way the sandstorm rolls in on that one level. I've never seen a sandstorm or a cloud. I mean, I've never seen a game look like that. That is one of just the way the shadowing in the storm that was coming towards you, and then just the way the level's going to change. I mean, I think it looks. I don't know. I think it looks really good. I think when you see different random shots of Battlefield, where you have tank views where they kind of like the HUD change. I never like the view once you're in a tank. And when you're in certain vehicles, the view kind of changes to an undesirable format for some people. But when you're on the ground as a troop in these levels, first person, and I'll look at the gameplay trailer again right now. When you're looking down the gun and running around some of these levels and seeing that tornado comes in, I think it looks very good. 60, not even close. Not even close. They never have, they never will. They're always top of their class as far as visuals when it comes to these multiplayer first-person shooters, and I don't have no reason to expect anything less.
I agree when it comes to the past. But what I've seen now, and with this live service subscription they're trying to get me to sub to for $70, I'm not seeing any. There's nothing actually that's been out that's worth $70. And I know a price tag is different for everybody. I understand it's subjective. But innovation needs to be pushed. Everything is about 30 FPS and subpar gameplay mechanics. And look how shiny it is. It's a looker. Look at these weather dynamics. It has ray tracing, high fidelity. We're getting the sounds to match the organic sounds now. It's very refined, little distortion. But and they know that draws in consumers. So to me, like you said with Halo, this one is well, I kind of know what to anticipate, but a show and prove. It's a shower, not a grower. The same way you feel for Halo, that's how I feel about Battlefield 2042. And I know how much you like Battlefield. I'm glad you're hyped for it. I hope it delivers on all aspects for you. I would love to get play it with you. But yeah, that's the cracks definitely started to show. Indeed, started to show when it came to Battlefield. That's how I feel about it. I don't know. It doesn't feel or look like the other Battlefields from what I've seen.
I think in hand you get it on your Series X if you play it on there. I think you get it in hand. You run that game, and you won't even be thinking about it. I think you won't. You're gonna say you thought it looked like a 360 game. Why? Because I mean, it's just their pedigree. Their pedigree. They don't make ugly games.
Well, it's not
and
that.
They know how to do lighting. They know how to do textures. I mean, they know how to do all that stuff. So.
But it's running on backwards compatible. But it's backwards compatibility is the main problem.
Yeah, but
same thing with Halo. That's why it's nothing innovative, and it doesn't look like when it comes. That's why I said next gen. There's nothing there. They're all running backwards compatibility. That's the main problem. Is this gaming drought?
Yeah, but Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 was playing on multiple systems, and I mean those games still looked amazing compared to their brethren of the same time. And this game, is and for first person shooters, there's only so much you can do as far as innovating. But I think with the tornadoes, as I've mentioned, I think that is an innovation, and we'll see. And again, I haven't played it yet, so we are going to see if it's disappointing in any way, shape, or form, or if it lives up to what I'm seeing thus far. But I think with the tornadoes, that is an evolution, or them at least in some ways stepping it up and showing more what these consoles can do. Maybe not fully released, if it was a strictly next gen title or current gen, because we're in the current gen. I understand that, but I
get confused too sometimes.
I do see them making strides with the tornadoes and with the driving up the player count and making this feel more of like an army of two just armies kind of facing off against each other. I do see that, and I think, like I said, I do have no doubt impressive. And we're just gonna have to see. But they are showing some innovation with this game. Is it worth $70? I mean, that's gonna be up to you. I think this is one of the only games
it's cross-gen,
multiplayer only. Where it's gonna be multiplayer only.
Multiplayer only, cross-gen. But you tell me, do you think it is? Do you think it's worth $70 as of right now? From what you've seen, knowing it's cross-gen, knowing it's being held back because you're splitting resources, it's backwards compatible. It's not even exclusive to next gen alone. I thought only next gens, next gen only. They're fully optimized for next gen. We're going to be $70 as of right now. Do you honestly believe it's worth $70 as of right now? You can play it and change your mind.
For me, absolutely, because I'm going to buy it. And if I don't think it wasn't worth $70, I wouldn't buy it.
Because you're a fanboy.
I wouldn't put my money towards it. Well, because I want to play the game. I mean, that's.
But do you think it's worth $70? I know you want to play it, but you honestly think it's worth $70? From what you see,
we're gonna have to see it when it comes out. I mean, like I said, this is the only game. If $70 is the new normal, if that's just what it's gonna be, I mean, we're gonna have to fight against it. You're gonna have to pretty much argue that for any of the newer games that come out that start to hit that normalized price of $70.
100%.
Meaning, like the new Call of Duty comes out and it's $70. The new, whether it be The Last of Us, the new God of War comes out. $70. Halo Infinite, free to play. Only an open world campaign, that's a different thing. But if they drop their next Forza game or whatnot, and that's $70. So if this is going to become the new norm, $70, we're just going to have to get used to that being what it is. So, and what I'm saying is, if any game with the new norm of being $70 for these new higher end third-party games or first-party titles, if that's going to be the new norm, I think that Battlefield, for me, it is worth it. And I think Battlefield could be one of the only games that can say multiplayer only and still maybe garner that $70 because they're the only ones that provide such an expansive battlefield with so many different options, with such a high player count, that I don't know, you can just have so much fun with, and they're packing so much in with this Levolution, with all the different vehicles, different ways to play. For me, they're one of the only games that if Call of Duty does it, which they did it with one of the Black Ops games. For me, that was easier for me to say at the current price at the time for a full price game was $60. But if they do that again, let's just say this year, and now we're getting used to that full price being $70 for the higher end, whatever, AAA games, it would be harder for me to say that a Call of Duty game is worth it because you're taking away a lot of those aspects, that full out war, all the vehicles, all the different destructibility, all those variables with the storms and the tornadoes. You're taking that out. I don't know what they're offering this year, so yeah, I'm talking prematurely. But I'm saying from the past, if they were to offer something similar to what they've offered before, it's easier for me to say that's not worth it versus seeing all the stuff that this Battlefield game is seeming to offer. It makes it a little more up to par as far as them asking the top dollar for what a AAA game is currently being priced at.
Well, Dylan the Details said the caller has good points. And again, we are talking to Mayhem on the first ever Hebrews cast. And I don't know. I said what I said. I said what I said.
But where do you see? Let me ask you something. Where do you see games going as far as?
Oh God!
In the near future, look, we have these consoles now, that have the specs they have, but we've had computers that have had specs that could match these newer consoles kind of for a while now.
Years, decades ago.
Where do you think? So where do they turn? So where does the gaming industry turn, as far as what is going to be multiplayer? I mean, before multiplayer happened, when multiplayer happened, that kind of changed the gaming landscape in general. And then having more powerful technology, some things have been more well, I would say, just with fidelity in general. Publishers' ideas of what they want to create has become more realized, yes. But what do you think is the next avenue, or the next just what are we walking into? What are we stepping into? What are the game developers going to have to do or show us as far as the near future of gaming? What is this generation of PS5 and Series X going to give us that the last one didn't?
Well, that's always been that's what I've always wondered. Like, when it comes, first I want to say I want to know, does Microsoft and Sony talk to these developers a year or two before they actually drop the consoles so that they can prepare, or do they find out the same time that the public does? That I want to know. How in touch are the developers or the publishers? How in tune are they with the hardware that's coming? Like, you don't got to tell me exactly what's coming up, but kind of give them a ballpark of what to anticipate so they can start getting these games prepped. I understand, hey, Hebrew, that's where first party exclusivity comes in, with Sony and Microsoft, and that's lacking. Now, this year we had a pandemic, but regardless, what does that communication look like? And for me, I want to see, as I told you, AI innovation needs to be pushed. Where are we going? We're going to a subscription service, a live service subscription. We're going to a subscription service. We're going to where they're able to release games that are not going to be finished, and just have you pay for the added content that was already supposed to be finished. I mean, that's honestly what I see. Like, I really don't see myself gaming for too much longer. Like, I feel like a dinosaur in this, and I'm really it's going more towards multiplayer. I understand that, and that's the way that it's going. But I personally, I love my single players. I love my single players, and I see it getting away from that. That's definitely what I can see. Yeah, man, it's all about the Benjamins, man. I mean, GTA Online is getting expanded and enhanced. That's releasing this fall. And that's something I was going to ask you, but it's going to take a lot of that's going to take a lot of real estate. And what does that mean for these other games? You're talking about the Halo Infinite, Battlefield 2042. You've got the new Call of Duty coming, like you said, but that's launching this November. and they'll be competing with the remastered of the remaster. Like that's what I'm seeing. Everything is a cash grab. Nothing is taking advantage of this of the hardware of next gen or current gen's tech of the hardware. Software is lacking. It's been lacking. We're going on a year. On the 10th of November, it'll be a year since these consoles were launched. And still, I have yet to buy a game that is solely for the Xbox Series X. Everything has been last gen on both of them. So, and like I told, like Horizon Zero Dawn. And it's funny to me how Guerrilla Games said that they couldn't achieve certain things like the flying mechanics on the PS4's engine and couldn't wait for the tech of the new PS5. Guess what's coming to the PlayStation 4 after being delayed once again? Oh, we got a new subscriber in the building. Extreme Walker. Sorry, I couldn't read that right away. Thank you for the support. We do appreciate you. We are here live with Mayhem. This is the first ever world premiere Hebrews cast. Well,
look, I know there's been a couple games, stragglers, that came out for just the PS5 or Xbox Series X. And of course, with them not being that many out in the wild, yes, they're taking advantage of the PS4 and Xbox One's player base to appease and sell more copies while they get more consoles out. But with all that being said, I mean, this console generation has really just begun. I know it's been about a year and a half or so. I don't even have no idea. But
and then really, November 10th, it'll be a year. Yeah.
So it's really just begun. So I'm saying future facing. I mean, what do you think the gaming industry is going to head as far as for this complete generation? I know, obviously, I mean, there's always going to be money grabs in all aspects, but do you think that they're going to, what do you think technology-wise, or what do you think gameplay-wise or storytelling-wise, if anything, they're going to do or they can do to really evolve gaming
within
this next generation?
We're not going to see nothing until the end of its lifespan, or till GTA 6 comes in 4 years. Maybe Senua's saga, that's 3 to 4 years out. Like, it's bad, bro. Like, it's bad. Like, we're 4 years out before seeing any sort of innovation, I feel like. And the thing is, and I say that because literally Microsoft but Sony, so not only Horizon Zero Dawn, but even God of War, they were saying, like I told you before, the water serpent, they couldn't make it as big, they couldn't scale it like the way they wanted to on the PlayStation 4's engine, was it Jaguar engine, something like. So they want to do it on PS, they couldn't wait the PS5, and that's all that got delayed, like Horizon Forbidden West, and it's also going to be on the PS4. So even God of War was their, and the reason I take issues with this is because God of War could have been the pillar. Like what you're asking right now, God of War could have really showcased. It's a linear experience, see the open, but a linear experience. And you love you're talking high fidelity comes to sound. We're talking about 4K. We're talking about ray tracing. God of War could have been that staple. And the reason I take issue with that is because cross-gen, most of the games that we're playing are backwards compatible versions of the games. It leaves a gap. You never fully utilize the power of the hardware because you're splitting resources. I also understand there's a business side of it. I do. And the business vision or decision to be made. And as Jim Ryan said for Sony, that Jim Ryan comes out and says, "Oh, we believe in moving forward and all this BS and talk shit to Microsoft." And yet, God of War was their opportunity and it's still on PS4. So there's no games. They're going to be utilizing the PS4 for another 3 to 4 years. They just recently said that in an article. They're still going to be utilizing the PS4 for the next 3 to 4 years. It's literally over. 3 to 4 years. So why do we have these consoles out? And I feel a lot of people are learning from Cyberpunk's fuck up. A lot of people make fun of me for having a flag. First of all, it's not a flag; it's a banner. Okay, of Cyberpunk. A lot of developers are learning. I feel like, and they are delaying. And as I predicted, I said the delays are becoming the new norm, and I don't want to see that. Everything's delay after delay after delay, and it's still on last gen. We're talking next year, and then 2023. Why are these still on last gen? I don't see it moving forward. I don't.
We do have some titles being released and being announced. I forgot the one from PlayStation with that girl zipping around. And there even is some with Xbox as well that have been announced that are only going to be next, which is currently now current gen. So I mean, they are coming, and they're gonna come.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm just saying it's
what do
years out.
you
It's hard
mentioned?
to,
You
you know.
mentioned. Well, I think some are coming a little sooner than others, but I mean they are coming, and I think that inventory restraints have informed a lot of their decisions as far as what they're deciding to keep multi-platform and not. Um, some they wouldn't have the time to change anyway, so I think they always knew Forbidden West was going to be multi-platform. Same with some of these other games, Spider-Man, of course. But
Yeah, they knew
regardless,
and,
you
and didn't.
mentioned
Yeah, they knew and didn't
you
announce it.
meant
Jim Ryan knew when he was asked
you
about God of War. You're right about that. I feel as
right,
though
right. So you mentioned things you would like to see as far as AI developments,
something as simplistic as
uh,
AI.
and,
I have so many
and
examples.
things like that. So that's the main like that's so pretty much you want to see more advanced AI intelligence as far as how they react to you in gameplay, make you feel like you're dealing less with NPCs and more like real people in whatever scenario,
Well,
whether it be a first-person game or a multiplayer game.
AI, at least, like I was content with the 60 FPS. That's why I'm one of the best features, that Sony can't do because they don't have the technology is the backwards compatibility. The 60 FPS and the 120 FPS boost that Microsoft is doing. That's why I'm reverting back to the older games. I really don't see too much, when it comes to foresight. I don't know. I don't see too much. But the AI can be. You look at the games even today. The AI are still sitting there. You can say they're bugs, but walking in place. Lip sync not being there. Which that's what Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut trying to sell you on. That what a ripoff. I want to ask you about that as well. But I something as simplistic as AI could be improved on. When it comes to vehicles, you look at like Grand Theft Auto, they can improve, with the vehicles, how they respond, is how things respond to you. If we're talking about like, run and gun, or we're talking about, like horror games, like Left 4 Dead compared to Back 4 Blood, like the AI responded to you. Like when you shot and killed an infected, they would respond to that you shooting them. When they ran through a Molotov, they wouldn't just fall to the ground like in Back 4 Blood. They would walk a little bit and then slowly fall to the ground. I don't even see things like that in the games anymore. Like I just compared Left 4 Dead 2 to Back 4 Blood. They're literally missing, and it's all a scheme. It's a gimmick. It's a sham. That's what this
We'll
industry is
see.
becoming,
I'm
is a sham.
thankful.
And I
I
know that
see.
you love hardware, and I hate to burst your bubble, and I'm sure you'll enjoy some of the games, and just and a lot of casuals will enjoy these games and whatnot, and I'll play and enjoy some as well, but like even Back 4 Blood, I'm sure I'll play and enjoy that with Tiff, like I did the It Takes Two. But as far as like something I'm looking forward to or what I see for the future of gaming, I see a lot of greed, and that's why I try to speak up on it on the platform as much as I can.
Well, there's been a lot of, just in general, there's been a lot of development just over the years. I mean, it's not hard to look back on as we go era over era of gaming to see how far we've come. So I mean, have we stagnated to a certain extent? Probably, but I think that there's definitely some
Graphics wise, we peaked,
there's
but
there's definitely going to be I don't know, some ways that games can evolve. Whether some things you're talking about AI or physics,
yeah,
the
attention to
way your
detail,
player,
all that,
the way your player kind of interacts with the world. I mean, those things can always be improved, and it will help with stronger software, or I'm sorry, stronger hardware. So we'll see. Like, I mean, I'm curious to see with the new Underworld Engine 5 coalition, working on the next Gears, things like that. Like, I think when those games hit like that, we're gonna see, and some of the exclusives that are gonna only be coming out for PlayStation 5 or Series X, we are gonna see more so the capabilities and some more polish in the way that you interact with these worlds and kind of what's possible. I think maybe it's gonna take a little longer than some of us would like,
Mhm.
and they need to really work on making these consoles available, because I think a majority of people, well, a lot of people, I would say there's a high percentage of people that would want these consoles that they can't even get them. So a lot of these facts are moot, and or a lot of these issues we're having don't matter as much. But I do think there at this point still is a benefit if you can afford to get one of these newer consoles or even find one. to having them and being able to play these games at a smoother frame rate, and play these games coming over the horizon are going to be out only for these consoles. But whether it's a PlayStation or the Xbox, I mean, being able to, with the new improvements that Senua Sacrifice just got updated with, or going back and playing Last of Us 2 at 60 frames a second, or God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, all the other games that they updated.
Well, you got the Last of Us remake too. You know, all these remakes. You know, like it shows you there's nothing new coming.
To it.
Well, you know, so you don't regret buying a PS5 because you primarily game on the Xbox Series X. So I'm just going to assume you'll say no to that. But the PS5, do you regret buying it, or are you still holding out for the future? Because, you know, Ratchet and Clank sold 1.1 million and they sold 10 million units of PlayStation 5. What does that tell you? You know, Returnal was 500,000. Did you even play Returnal?
I haven't played Returnal, but percentage.
Did you play Ratchet and Clank as the most sold game?
No.
So
no, I haven't played those.
Do you regret buying a PlayStation 5?
Not at
Like,
all.
would you go back and change things knowing the gaming drought? And, you know, would you have waited for a PS5 or no?
Well, no, because I've still had fun playing my games. Like it's all subjective. Like you seem so angry, but I'm having fun. You seem so angry, but I'm having fun playing the games that I have, and I'm having fun playing on the systems that I have. Like,
I'm very angry.
I mean, you can be so mad and upset and angry, and that's one way to look at it. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine that you're passionate about gaming, as am I. But I'm having a blast playing. I got Miles Morales. As soon as it dropped on the PS5, running at like a smooth 60 at a checkered 4K, but it was a very clear picture if you didn't want to play, which now they have the updates where you can play 60 and with ray tracing on. But when that game came out, the performance that the PS5 allowed you to have, I mean, it made an already fun gameplay experience even funner and smoother. The updates that I have for my past PS5 catalog, and then I mean, looking forward to the future of what's going to be coming out. Same with Xbox, whether it be Valhalla or any game that comes out, playing it at just a better fidelity. For me, there's no reason at all that I would second guess my decision to purchase a next gen console, or to purchase both of them. I'm having a blast, man.
Have you even felt the presence of a gaming drought at all? Since next gen was launched, have you felt the presence of a gaming drought?
Not as much, because third parties have consistently pushed out games. I mean, third parties are always pushing out games, so I'm not worried about necessarily game exclusives. And regardless of
just
coming
newer
out
games.
on both consoles,
Just newer games.
But I'm saying new games. I mean, Valhalla, Resident Evil Village. I mean, all these games
Those came out before they were released.
Resident Village came out after the new gen.
No, you said Valhalla. Valhalla was out before the consoles were released.
Valhalla came out around the same. I'm saying, but it came out around the same time that those consoles. I'm gonna say around the same time, so I got it for the next gen consoles. But I'm saying, since the next gen consoles had been released, just go back and look at timestamp to date and look at all the game releases that have come out since then. Games have came out, so I always have something to play, and then I can always jump back when they improve these older games that I've loved. I can go touch base and jump back with them. But third parties, as well as first parties, but mostly third parties, we're always going to get slow down a little bit with COVID, and that's going to pick back up. But I can look at the games that I've purchased as of late, or just games that I've played, whether I'm going back or whether for whatever reason Returnal was my jam. I would have played that. Ratchet and Clank was my jam. I would have played that, but that's just not my style. So I hold off on games that don't speak to me, and I purchase the games that do. And I think that there's been enough consistent releases, especially having both consoles, whether I'm going back and playing something that was enhanced or I'm playing something newer that was out, such as Village. I mean, like I said, I'm having a blast.
Okay.
So, I mean, as a passionate gamer, there's always going to be things I hope they'd improve on, and always going to make decisions that are more financially based and kind of annoy me. But there's still good developers out there, and there's still, good games coming out. There's still games I'm excited about. I'm still excited about Battlefield 2044. I am still
I hear it in your
I'm a big
voice.
Halo fan. I grew up with Halo.
Yeah.
So I am. It is going to be a wait and see for me, but I'm still very interested to see what they come up with. So, you know what I mean? There's still games that I'm excited for. And in the meantime, I'm good.
So do do you feel what are your thoughts on microtransactions?
I think there's some that are fine, and there's some that are. I mean, loot boxes is just one of the biggest scams that was ever done. That the gaming industry got away with to have us pay for a chance to get something that we maybe might like, and maximize our profits. Although 400%, I don't know. When you can say, hey, look, do you like this game? You want to pay for this skin to just have your character look a little different, maybe cooler, and you've already given me a full game. That's perfectly fine. But when you say you want to try to open up a chest or box and pay for it to maybe get something that you might like, but chances are you're just going to get some of the random filler nonsense that they put in those things, and have people just gamble and spend tons and tons of money trying to get something that, which back in the day, Call of Duty just gave you a DLC pack that had the maps, that had the weapons, that had the content, instead of them piecemealing it out. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think loot boxes are one of the biggest scams in gaming that we accepted for a while. It looks like they're kind of dying out, thankfully, in a lot of aspects. Maybe not everywhere, but
Yeah.
in certain games they're dying out. But I think after the fact, to pay or to have developers continue to work on a game, if you give me a full-fledged game, it doesn't matter what it is, multiplayer, story-wise, campaign, you give me a full game, and we know what that means. And then after the fact, you want to continue on with the story, or you want to add this and that, and you're going to continuously work on the game, then yeah, I think you should get paid, and you can have people pay for. I mean, don't make it random. Let people know what they're getting, and that can work. So I think it has to be done right. What are your feelings on the current aspect of microtransaction in
I
gaming?
mean, I think that it's destroying gaming. But I knew ever since it was implemented with mobile games, when I first saw it, I knew it would make its way over to our platforms, and I think it's going down a real dark place. I think it's very anti-consumer. I think it can be done in a way, like you're saying, if a game's going to be out for 10 years, Halo Infinite, I understand. It doesn't need to be 10 years, but if it's going to have, like you said, if it's a complete game, and you'd be surprised how many different variations of perspective there are when it comes to what a complete game actually looks like to people. I'm not mad at that as well when it comes to respect to DLC or expansions, things of that nature. But you take Rockstar, for example, we're talking macro transactions. Like, it's really play to win. Pay to win instead of play to win. The real snakish, where you have to grind. It says free. And again, as a gamer, like, yeah, I'm all about the, get good and grind. But, bro, like, when you have to grind, like, it's where you have to grind. And now I'm battling between gaming and my time, because I don't want to be a zoomer. I'm not a journalist. I just want to zoom right through the game, right? Like, I'm not just going to bust out the Benjamins, one, because I don't got a lot of Benjamins. I haven't seen one in the past few months, but, you're battling against your time. That's my most valuable commodity. It's making the game so grindy, and it's making your games, like Rockstar, for example, making your games so it doesn't make sense. You'll add a DLC, and then you'll make it to where, or you add an update, and you'll make the update so undesirable, but the content will be rich, but you'll make the money making aspect of it shitty, to where nobody wants to even mess with it, and to where one business or one heist becomes the meta. So everybody's just focusing on that one thing. Why even waste these devs' time in developing an update if that's going to be the case? And Assassin's Creed, it started with Origins. It wasn't evasive at all. You can go right through there. Then Odyssey, they started adding these time savers, more time savers, and people were advocating. I'm like, why do you want this in an Assassin's Creed game? People were advocating for them to be in the game. Oh, it's not a big deal. And now you saw it getting worse. You saw the uproar, I'm sure, with Valhalla. People You got to wake up. You got to wake up and see that how invasive this is. It's not just loot boxes. It's macro transactions. There's ways to go about it, but there's very few games that actually have micro transactions and don't make their games so grindy to where you gotta, fight between working out, work, and I'm sure you bought more microtransactions now, working and working out than you have before. You're fighting for your own time. Is the most valuable commodity. From what I've seen, I haven't seen anybody really do it well, and all of them are so way overpriced. They're way overpriced. And those are the, and GTA 150 million units sold last week. Like it's still going up and up and up and up and up. So, but it's not because they agree with the macro transactions. It's because you frustrate and make your player base so toxic that people are like, fuck it, I'm buying a shark card. Like there's no way to get around either your broken economy or catering towards griefers and tryhards, giving them weapons with lock-on missiles to where you can't even deliver one package. One missile blows it up. And it may sound foreign to you, but it's they try to force you to be inclusive, but you can't do anything in that lobby. Everybody's like it's not GTA run and gun, you're stealing cars and you with your homies, this and that, kicking and cooling. You can do that if you glitch out the lobbies or go to an invite only lobby, which you can't make any money from. You can only, make little bits amount of money from. Let's not make about GTA too much, but let me go on too much. But they put you in a lobby where there's jets, everything flying around, everybody's getting griefed, and they expect you to sell where it's damn near impossible. That's why my video blew up so much when the test nat type got patched. You can't enjoy the game. So it's like that. Like you literally destroy your game for greed. And it's really sad to me. But you see another things, like I said, with the time savers, this and that, like
You said the one thing says people don't agree with it, and I think that
what's that?
The fact that they're making so much money, people don't necessarily agree with what's going on.
Well, you're forcing their hand. Yeah. You're not giving them another option. Everybody can grind like I do and have the time.
There's always an option. There's always an option just to not buy it or not play the game.
But it's the kids. It's the kids.
I think that the
kids. They're easily triggered and gonna buy the shark cards. You know what I'm saying? The adults, they'll be more rational.
The fact that they're making and adults do as well. I mean, you don't make that type of money on.
Well, statistically speaking, statistically speaking, it is the kids. Let's be real to the game. The majority of it, they said that
the kids don't. But kids don't have jobs. You know what I mean? And if
mommy and daddy, this.
Well, but if the parents but if they are letting this happen, if they are facilitating the kid spending this type of money, they're just as much to blame as the kid. And
100%.
What I'm saying is, people are obviously agreeing to it to a certain extent if they're spending this type of money. The only way to combat it, for them to see that it's not profitable, is to not make profit. It's for people to stand up and not do it.
Right.
But that has always from day one of toxic microtransactions, it's always been the answer. But it's just not applied.
Talking with your wallet.
Spend the money.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, speak with your. That's the only thing. If we didn't bite the bullet, if we didn't put our mouth on the barrel, they wouldn't be able to fire the gun. I mean, it wouldn't hurt us. But we don't bet. I mean, there's no platform where everybody stands together and makes the decision not to be involved in toxic microtransactions. Because if they did that, then it would very, very, very shortly become apparent to the publishers or the CEOs of these big companies, Activision or whoever you want to discuss, that it's in their best interest to do something that's less predatory. But we don't see that on a large scale. We generally see people dislike it, hate it, but then enough people partake in it. A lot of time being the silent majority, the people that don't necessarily express their opinions, but one of the millions of people that buy these games that are going and spending this money on the side or to progress faster or whatever it can be. So I mean,
that's so sad too. Like you know where we come from. Could you imagine? Like we would have got laughed at back in the day. What? It's literally pointless to even have a progression system because I can buy the game and then a month later, and grind it out, and a month later somebody can come in, get right where I'm at, same progression level without doing a bit of work. Hey, that's all. And again, what's that got to do with you? Okay. it's about what it's leading to, and actually, no, what it's affecting right now directly. You're going to ruin the progression system, and they're going to keep adding these. You're going to make it more grindy for the people that are actually playing the game, in contrast to people that are willing to pay X amount of dollars and skip the whole progression system and be right where I'm at or right where you're at, i.e., time savers. Like, it's not a good look. Like, we would have got laughed out the building back in the day for gaming. Laughed out you want a time saver, but if you don't get good, like you were saying in the beginning, like if you don't, essentially what you were saying, but that's when we look at the reality of what's going on, the reality of the situation. That's why I don't have too much hope for it's not about hope. We're going to be practical about it. So I'm not going to use the word hope. That's why I don't see too much when it comes. You ask me what it looks like. It looks like a subscription service. Battlefield 2042. But to end on a lighter note, I don't know, how much time do you got left here? I mean, we went 40 minutes over.
You're asking me? I mean, we can have a final topic. We can end it here. However you want to roll.
Okay.
Don't matter to me.
Are you? Like I said, I feel like a dinosaur, and I'm in my late 20s. You're in your mid 30s. Are you embarrassed as a grown man to still be gaming? Because you're in your mid 30s and one day you'll be 40 and 50. Do you see yourself still gaming at these ages? And are you embarrassed right now as a gamer? Something you would hide from people, your coworkers, things of that nature?
Oh, no, man. Of course not. Of course not.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, it's just an activity or whatnot, a form of entertainment that I enjoy, and it seems to be slightly more interactive than movies and such. But yeah, of course not. Of course, there's no reason for me to feel in any way, shape, or form embarrassed or ashamed of being a gamer. Nobody should be ashamed of the things that they enjoy, as long as they're healthy to you and you have moderation in life in general. I mean, that's the real question you're asking. I mean. And it doesn't have to be talk about gaming. Is there any aspect of your life that you're ashamed of? Is primarily the question. And
well, real quick, it was more so because
as long as you're moderating your time correctly.
Well, no, it was more so. Sorry to cut you off. It was more so. It used to be stereotypical. You're a nerd. Like someone that looks like you, wouldn't be looked at as, oh, he games. Like no one looks at. I'm not gonna say no one, but someone with your build. I mean, if you guys haven't, and again, we're talking to Mayhem here, Hebrew's first ever world premiere cast. Thank you. Frank Cave says, this has been a great podcast, Young Hebrew. We appreciate it. Speaking of Mayhem here, Mayhem is in the building. Your boy Mayhem, aka the 6'4", 240,000 pound of pure muscle mass Goliath. You're not 6'4"? Well, you may be 6'5" now. After this, you may be 6'7". I don't know.
I'm not that big.
But more so the stereotypes, of someone looking like you. Hey, I'm about to, I'm hitting the gym. All right, now I'm about to go home and play video games. You see what I'm saying? That's why I asked that question. Does that matter to you? I don't give a fuck. But
well, yeah.
Without the moderation, just the stereotypes, breaking that stereotype down. What do you think?
Well, I just think I think it is. It's just a stereotype. I think nowadays. I mean, like you said, it was a certain way, but I don't think that anybody, a lot of people or society in general, if we're speaking in general terms, kind of feels that way anymore. I think people, it's fine to do what you love. I mean, as long as you're living your life right, as long as you're keeping a balance between what you do for entertainment, between your friends, family, and your work, so you're taking care of your responsibilities. I think it's when one of those things starts to lack, or you start to mess up on one of those things, your balance becomes off. And all of a sudden, you're not spending enough time with your family. All of a sudden, you're not putting in the effort to work, so you're not getting your stuff paid or taken care of. When you start to, those are the only times somebody's going to look at you or judge you. Choose anybody to judge anybody, but in general, would look at you in any type of way if you're not holding down what you're supposed to. But if you're responsible, woman, man, adult, young adult, whatever, child, if you're in school and doing your homework and doing what you're supposed to do, anybody that's holding down their responsibilities, I don't think as a gamer is going to be looked down upon in this day and age at all. I think it's a non-issue, is what I think.
With that being said, folks, we will be right back before we close out. We will be right back. We're going to take a short break. Stay with me.
Oh, yeah.
And
That being said, ma'am, I appreciate you guys that are just tuning in. We're speaking with Mayhem here. Talking about, your build and whatnot, and breaking stereotypes. Who do you care what your, like, does how your character look bother you? Like, for example, like I like playing as a make it banned. I like playing as a masculine man, or at least someone that looks like me or looks better than me. I don't want to play like as an overweight person, so to speak. Like I kind of like how we used to idolize heroes back in the day, Superman, even Spider-Man, Batman, who, like, I ask you this because to me it matters. I don't know if it matters to anybody else, if it's being kind of transparent here. Like, who I play as matters. I'm just kind of curious if it's the same for you. And like, if I play as a female, I want to play as like an attractive female. I don't know if that sounds weird, but like, with your type of build, do you care who you play as, or do you like try to see yourself as the character when you like build in these RPG games? Because I feel they're very close related. Like,
It just depends. It depends on the style of game. It depends what is it meant to represent me. Am I living vicariously through this character and make these are me or a rendition of me making these decisions, doing these actions in the game, or is this more so of a or is it like a good example, Max Payne? Gosh dang it, Max Payne 3. The Max Payne when you came back, I love that damn game. Where you were like washed up.
Talk about bullet damage. Oh my god.
But I'm saying where like he was washed up. Where the one where he ended up shaving his head, he had a beer belly, and he shaved his head, and he wasn't in the best shape. But it was like you had played the games, and he had gone through some stuff, and this is where he was at. And it was a very cool rendition of that character, and it made sense, and I love that game. So I really think that it has everything to do with the story that they're telling, and if they tell a good story, then your character can be anything. They can look like anything. If it makes sense within the world,
right?
I don't really care. Just like engross me in the story, make it make sense, and it's kind of cool seeing different characters in games, because I just kind of, when you kind of see the same shaven head military man with a scar over his eye. And yes, I do make those characters sometimes because I have a shaved head, so it makes sense for me.
Right.
But
100%.
when that's all you see, then I mean, yeah, it becomes stagnant. It becomes boring. It's like, yeah, I want to see a different rendition. I mean, the world's full of all types of people with all different backgrounds and all different body types, such and such. So it's cool seeing different renditions of different types of characters when it's done right.
So I'm laughing at chat here, not you. I'm listening.
Yeah, everything's always done with the caveat of if done right, because that's all we want. We just want a good story. We want a good, we want a good story and a good story wrapped around a character. Always is going to be intriguing And so it just depends on how they kind of mix those things together.
Okay, I'm big on immersion, so maybe that's why it's a little bit more who I play as. You know, I kind of want to feel like me, but I also wasn't a fan of Fat Thor, like in the movie. So I'm one of those outliers. Are there any specific? Are you playing a lot of backwards compatibility games on the Series X that run at 60 or 120 FPS? Remember earlier we touched on it. You said
I've been playing some.
Are there any games that you?
Some.
Are there any games you want to see? Because there's talks of and maybe you'll check out, you know, Senua's Sacrifice now, since, you know, it got that it's only 1080p, but, you know, 120 FPS with no ray tracing, and then it's 4K 30 FPS with ray tracing, and yeah, the dynamic 4K. Because I did want to ask you, are you going to run through Senua's Sacrifice? Because it's like the perfect introduction before they drop the second one. Is that something you're interested in? Because that was to date, that's my best experience overall in the game. You know,
I will absolutely
the binaural
play
sound
it before the new one comes out.
Mm-hmm. It's a puzzle solving game, but I have, you know, with dealing with mental health problems and stuff, like that's that game's kind of geared towards. Has the binaural sound design for the 3D effects. It was incredible. You got to play with he has a very Kino headset. It would be amazing. But it's a puzzle solving game. There is definitely combat, but it's mostly it's very, I'm gonna say narrative driven, but it's very story involved, and there are puzzles too. That's the only puzzle game. I hate puzzle games that I finished, and it's cool. And they added like it now features like a level select, which is cool. I mean, it really deserve points for that. But are there any games that you would like to see remastered? They're talking about remastering possibly GTA 3. Again, nothing new till GTA 6, right? 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Are there any games on the Xbox you want to see, or even third party, with the 60 or 120 FPS boost or remastered?
Look, before I leave this chat today, I was gonna find a way to work in BioShock. Okay.
No, I got you. I'm right here. I'm right here. You're welcome. You're welcome.
It's had their little. It had its little Xbox One X, whatever.
One X. And that made Left 4 Dead 2 look great.
I'm saying the specific one for BioShock was pretty trash. The way they tried to update it. So, I mean, they're supposedly working on a new BioShock. BioShock is probably one of my most favorite games of all time due to immersion, storytelling. I mean, it all comes together. So that I want to see where they would take that story. Supposedly they're working on a new one. I don't know where that's going, where the story is going from, leaving BioShock Infinite or whatnot. But if you're asking me just kind of what game I would love to see take full advantage of the Series X, I would love to see a BioShock remake.
Not a remaster, remake.
Remaster,
yeah.
But I would love to see a remake. And if they're doing a new one, then just work on the new one. That's fine. Let's see what new ideas, you have.
Keep your beloved games where they're at, and just do like you prefer a remake instead of a new one, right? Because you don't got to guess that shit.
Let's just see what kind of new ideas.
Or do you want a new one?
That's fine. Okay. I would love something.
So you entertain that idea, okay?
But I mean, just to simply answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
To see an updated, I mean, that game was, for the time it came out, so immersive, with the sound design, with the visuals that paired nicely with the gameplay, having the weapons and the plasmas play off each other, the way you could combo things out. I mean, that game, and then plus, like I said, just an amazing story that really made you think. One of the first games that just really made. See, I'm just gonna talk about BioShock. This is what you done set up. So I mean, one of those games.
Viewers are going up. I love it. Keep going. I'm on your time.
One of those games that just really had a mix of story and gameplay and immersion that you don't see. Now a lot of games will just kind of have one over the other. I mean, some games again do both well. I mean, Last of Us did both well. God of War did both well. Some of the earlier Halo games did both well, but it's just not something you see as much anymore. So seeing that game spruced up, it's just running smooth, and have the type of being able to visit Rapture in all of its full glory with the lighting. Oh Lord, with ray tracing in that game, I can't even imagine how that game could look if done right.
Did you like the third installment? And which one was your favorite?
Infinite.
Infinite.
Infinite. I did not.
Why?
I did not like.
I want to see if it's the same reason everybody. Why don't you like it?
Well, no, I just think that, and it sucks because you can't keep
The same formula. I mean,
maybe you can't stay in Rapture forever. I get it. Maybe you have to do something else. For me, BioShock is Rapture, and Columbus was a cool kind of environment to explore, but you can't, the magic that Rapture had been in some that dilapidated underworld, just what it represented and what it was and the way it fell, and coming in and kind of getting pieces of different people's story and kind of how everything fell apart. It was very Last of Us reminiscent. Playing Last of Us 2, they did it well, but BioShock, I think with the audio files, did it better. I mean, it just is what it is. Like there's no other game that really put you in a time and a place and fed you story in the same way, audio-wise and visually and things like that.
I remember you saying that when I played Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
You said, "Do you like that BioShock?" Chat's gonna butcher me for this, but I can't get into BioShock. Maybe I need to give it a little bit more time. I couldn't get into BioShock. But I remember you saying that. You say you like the audio files because on paper, Horizon Zero Dawn story, it grabbed me. You say you like the audio files in that game. BioShock does it better. I couldn't get into it.
Well, you have some bad. I keep hearing things about BioShock as well as Battlefield 2044.
But I haven't said anything bad about BioShock. I just said I couldn't get into it. Now, if you want me to slander the game, I could find reasons, but I honestly don't have any. I just couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into it.
Nobody will believe you.
I'd be lying on my ass.
That game's a masterpiece. Everything's subjective. I'm sure there's people that don't love it. That's fine. I got no qualms with people do and don't like, but I just think that game delivered.
No, it's not even that I don't like it. I just
rarely seen.
I guess that's another way to put it. But I couldn't. I tried it. I don't know what. Maybe it was. You know what? Maybe it was. I don't know, the 30 FPS. Maybe it was. It was something with the movement and visually. I can just remember that. It's very vague. Like, why don't you like it? It's not I didn't like it. It's like all I can say is and remember is that I couldn't get into it. I came out the water, went to a lighthouse, and I'm trying to. But I'm the type of dude like where I'll try to force myself to like some. But I would definitely revisit it if you got a remaster. And you keep saying to work on a new one. I would definitely try it out again if it has a remaster.
They have
because I always had it on sale,
they didn't do it. They didn't do it well. But if you get the collection right now on the Series X, I mean, it's gonna be at 60 frames. It's gonna be 4K at 60.
That's what I was talking about. It was always on sale and cheap for like $3. And I kept trying. I was like, I got to get this because you kept raving about it. I got to try it. I don't know. I want to try. Some game. There's few games that are highly talked about that I don't like.
It's games though. It doesn't matter. So it's all art. It's all subjective. It's not.
But it's like
it is what it is.
Like The Last of Us. I always heard about it, but I never owned a PlayStation. And I finally got one. That's my favorite game on the PlayStation. So it's like usually when it's raved about, I like, and I'm usually not like that, but usually that means the game's really good. So far it's been my experience. I'm usually not like that. I'm usually like, a lot of people like it. Like I'll try it out when the hype dies down. I guess I did that with the Last of Us. It was years past, but yeah. Games looking forward to Halo. Scorn is supposed to be released this year, but I haven't really seen too much on it. I know Stalker 2 is April of next year, and the Hellblade no release date. And Extinction, I really didn't. Did you ever play Extinction?
Yeah, did I ever play Extinction, the dinosaur game?
Yeah. Remember we were watching the demo when it first came out, like, oh, this looks dope. It's like some futuristic-esque raptors, and I didn't like it. I tried playing it for a while. Oh, you haven't tried it?
I haven't played it yet. It just looked like a cool co-op. I don't know, one of those games you could just BS with your friends and blow some of the physics or just memory with blowing the raptors apart or the dinosaurs apart looked pretty cool. It always just seemed to me like something that could definitely be fun to jump in while BSing with you or your boys or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
and chat it up while you blow apart some dinosaurs. I mean, that always seemed what it could be for me.
It was a little buggy, but it had, a run and gun aspect to it, but it's definitely a Game Pass game. You think Game Pass is value? We'll close out on this. Your thoughts on Game Pass? Worth it or not?
Nas? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think with games going to $70, that's going to be the new norm. I mean, I know some games will still be 50, some will be 40, whatever the case may be, but if the new 60 being 70, I mean, to have a Netflix version, if you will, for gaming,
right?
Which isn't new with your GameFly or this and that, whatever. But with this, it's kind of
it's
being
really accessible.
Downloading it to your console. You don't got to worry about the streaming and the issues that go along with that. I mean,
exclusivity
I think
day one.
It's a very good play. They have a very good argument of why. I mean, even me, I buy pretty much every game that I want
to support it out,
but I still have it
in the same way.
If a game pops up or a game I'm not too sure about,
The Ascent.
Sometimes they throw on some good third-party games on there as well. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 was on there for a while.
GTA.
Figuring if I wanted to play GTA. So, I mean, it just gives you a little bit of everything. And then the games that I know I'm going to really love or the games I'm really interested in, I'm going to buy Battlefield regardless. I'm going to buy certain games that come out. I mean, even Gears of War, the next one is on Game Pass. I'm still going to buy that. So,
are you going to buy the most expensive Ultimate Edition?
Of what?
Like the collector's edition of Gears? Or are you just saying going to buy it? Like, what would be if you're going to buy the standard edition, is it to support the devs? I understand that. Or are you trying to get the ultimate, like, are you trying to get a collector's edition or something like that? What would be the reason of purchasing it? Because you want a hard copy of your favorite games? Because that's how I am. So I was just wondering why.
Well, yeah, I still buy. I mean, that's just my style. I buy 4K movies of the movies that I love, but that's slightly different because there is a quality difference
from disc to digital.
From disc to digital that you don't necessarily get when you can download the game straight to your console.
Right.
But yeah, I'm definitely still a physical media type of guy. And as far as
talk about it.
I got some collectible stuff, so you know me, and statues and such. So if they drop and the next one has like a statue or something, you know what I mean, I probably most definitely I get that, but I'm less nowadays about getting an Ultimate Edition if it's just going to give you like a skin or something. I care less about that stuff.
Don't tease me. There's no more, Game Informers. There's no posters coming with pre-orders. There's no statues. I wish. That'd be dope if they brought it back. Red Dead Redemption 2 Rockstar skimmed so hard. $100 didn't even come with the game. We're not even going to talk about it. That's another,
Hey, whether
I would hope
you like
so.
it or not.
What's that?
Whether you like the games or not, I'm not speaking to that at all. But Resident Evil Village,
and Last of Us
Edition, and with Cyberpunk Collector's Edition came with really cool.
Oh yeah, you're right. Hold on, let me.
So they're not gone. I think sometimes they're leaning more heavily on you're getting this downloadable crap, which that stuff I don't really care for. So the
downloadable artwork and all that shit. But hold on, what was the first game you said before Cyber? Oh, go ahead.
The other stuff's still out there. I said Cyberpunk, Resident Evil Village,
and Last of Us 2 had Ellie.
Yeah.
You had that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know. Was that
and the First of Us too?
Was that a collector's or?
Last of Us had one too, and that one's like mad expensive to try to get a second.
Oh, I could imagine the original one.
The original Last of Us had a nice statue.
Well, because it probably has Joel, and he's dead. So yeah, I would understand that one.
Bro, spoilers, man. Spoilers.
Oh, if you haven't played, leave now. If you haven't, But this is spoiler cast all day then, I guess. But no, yeah, I think CDPR, you got a lot for what you end the game was included. That's what I'm saying. Rockstar it's comparing companies, but they did it wrong. And most of the games before that, and you're talking about Last of Us, that was way back. But Last of Us 2, I'm not sure if the statue that you have, if that was, I say third party, came out after the game, or if that was actually bundled in with a certain edition. It was.
I have a couple. One was bundled in, and then a couple are third party. But that's a whole different.
The God of War one you have is that one from a collector's edition as well?
Yes. And then the old Gears of War 3 one.
Yeah, but that was way back. Yeah, that's the one
the classic.
Yeah. So you've acquired a good amount of statues. I say last couple years. Chance of seeing some unboxing of your statues or showcasing or displays in the near future? I know you do some stuff on Instagram and stuff, but
No,
when you
yeah,
get new
I don't
setup
really
and stuff?
do.
I know
I,
you're
I really don't even do that. Once I get set up in the house,
transition
now
right
I'm
now.
currently moving. So once I get there, I'm gonna be able to display 'em. We're talking about just some gaming socially distant statues, but yeah, I have a lot of like Sideshow and Iron Studios, different quarter scale statues from Batman, different movie stuff to Marvel Gambits and Captain America's Deadpool, movie stuff from Leonidas and stuff from Sin City. So I have my yeah statues. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot bigger, more than just simply gaming collector's editions. But those
But
also do
they
have
go
some
hand in
nice ones.
hand.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like if you
yeah,
collecting statues and
absolutely,
gamers go hand in hand, but you
absolutely.
have some heavy hitters, and I think that people would love to see those. Well, I know they have people hit me up about it before, asking me about your statues and seeing them after you put up the one of I don't know if you have a an Avengers collection, but you have Avengers members, you know, Captain America, things of that nature, Iron Man, Thor. I don't know if you have all of them, but that I know that's definitely something that people would like to see. And I mean, you have some very highly detailed quality statues. Yeah, I
I'm
wish.
a big nerd.
Well, I thought we shattered the stereotype, but you know, you said it, not me. But no, I
No, the
yeah,
stereotype is being a nerd is bad. I'm just saying I'm a big nerd. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
yeah, you are big. Again, we're chatting with Mayhem here. First ever world premiere Hebrews cast. 6'4", 240,000 pounds of pure muscle mass Titan. Yeah, no, man, it's
I gotta get a
it's
different intro.
it, I gotta say it how it is. I gotta say it how it is. Uh, real quick, since I still have you here, Ghost of Tsushima, director's cut.
What'd you call it?
Ghost of Tsushima. I say Ghost of Tsushima. Like I say
It's
Tsushima,
fine.
and you made fun of me. Now I'm saying Tsushima like
know.
everybody, and it's wrong. I don't know.
I don't know what you. Okay.
Ghost,
But yes.
director's cut. Is it a ripoff? Should it be free?
Uh,
Are you
I don't
buying
think
it?
it's a rip. I don't think it's a rip off. That I've vaguely, I'm sorry, vaguely looked at. Now you get a new island with some new storylines and such and such. I enjoyed the initial game. It's like some of the best sword play, in game in general. Like has some of the best sword play gameplay.
Bring that up
I
here.
think this is one of those aspects that I told you.
Uh huh.
I'm saying this is a good example of you're given a full-fledged game, you're given a complete game, you're given enough gaming content, and then they also released the multiplayer mode and a couple other things for free already. Um, so this is, I think, a good example. 'Cause we have so many poor examples. I think this is a very good example of a game that gave you enough content up front. So I think that if they continually at that point, even after the free stuff they gave you, to continue to work on it and want to make some brand new stuff because there's a calling for it, then I think it's absolutely fair for them to create that content and then for you to, you know what I mean, have to pay for it or to charge whatever type of price they're going to pay for a new island. And I forget, I mean, some of them are saying that they're doing some more upgrades for the Series X for the newer consoles.
Which should be
I'm
free.
Like Series X. What the heck am I talking about?
All that should be
PS5.
free.
It's PS5.
Anything being
But I know
optimized
they
for next gen needs to be free.
But they
across
already
the board.
unlocked it. But it already they already unlocked it, so it already runs the quality mode, which is the checkerboard of 4K.
Right.
But restricted to the PS4's limits of what they had the max resolution could be.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they already have that unlocked, and it's already running at 60. So they already did give a free update. But this is another one, and I'd have to go back and read the details of what this specifically, if this is going to give it maybe a full-fledged 4K 60, I'm not quite sure. But, so yes, so I'm in two minds as far as that aspect of it. But in general, looking at them giving us a complete game, and if you just ask me maybe about the island content or whatever, yes, I think that's absolutely fair for them to charge extra for additional content made after the fact, after a complete game was given to us. And they gave us some free stuff with the multiplayer mode, such and such. So yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's more so of a good example of doing it than others I've seen.
Of being consumer friendly.
Yeah.
So you don't think next gen's upgrade should be free, and just pay for the island separately?
Again,
do
with the
not?
upgrade, I have to look at the details because I'm not quite sure what it is offering.
Okay.
Is it just pushing up the resolution to cap out at 4K instead of a checkerboard at 4K like the original at 60? I'm not quite sure what that's giving you. Because I'm sure that obviously PS4 players can purchase this as well, and they're getting everything else minus the upgrade.
What
and
I'm looking at.
That makes absolute sense. You're just getting more content. You pay for it. With this one, they're adding in maybe the next gen stuff too as part of the bundle, so that maybe gets a little bit wonky. But
This from a.
I'm just saying for them to add an additional content, the island stuff, I think that's perfectly fine to charge for that stuff.
I don't even have an answer for you, to be honest, because from a retail side, this is confusing as hell. It's saying $60 for the PlayStation 4 price for people who do not currently own Ghost of Tsushima. $70 PS5 price for people who do not currently own Ghost. $20 PS4 price for people who currently own Ghost. Could be played on PlayStation 5 through backwards compatibility with PS5 upgrades. $30 PS5 price for people who currently own Ghost, and $10 for PS5 upgrade is the upgrade price for people who buy the PS4 version of Director's Cut. I don't know what you're getting with that. I don't even care to look into that.
These headphones I'm wearing are giving me a slight headache, and you're not helping.
Yeah,
you're going to read me all that nonsense. Yeah, sometimes they make it difficult. I get it. I mean,
that's why I like Xbox. They make it like all the first parties. Like when you have an Xbox, I guess that's in contrast like Microsoft, which views the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X and S as different consoles on the same Xbox platform. I was just looking at this, like that means that like if you buy, well, also it includes cloud gaming and PC to an extent. I would assume. Like that means if you buy a multiplayer first party, or if you buy a Microsoft first party game, you don't have to buy a console specific version. Instead, you just download the Xbox One, Series X or S version, depending on what console you're downloading it on. That right there, like that makes much more sense from a retail aspect. What I just read made zero sense at all. Like I wouldn't know what to purchase, to be honest with you, or what comes like that's dumb. That's dumb how they're doing that.
We're just okay. Right now we're not in a it's not standardized. I mean, it's just Xbox decided to do it one way, PlayStation does it another, and sometimes they do or don't give out. I mean, it kind of varies with them. And then third parties, you know what I mean? It's just the Wild West. It's up to them. Some do it, some don't. It's just kind of what we're dealing with as of right now until Microsoft or PlayStation requires some sort of standard if you're going to update the games, which I don't think they're going to do because that puts too much pressure. They don't want to put that pressure on the developers, which I think they should put it on them. But,
right.
I mean, I don't know. That's just time will tell as far as that's concerned.
You think all games should be free when it comes to upgrading, being optimized, fully optimized for the Xbox Series X and the PS5 from last gen?
I think optimize the games that we have already purchased should be. I think and I think at this point, any fees, whatever that takes, just at this point, with it not being as many next gen titles out, I think that any fees, whatever associated with that, should be absorbed by Xbox or PlayStation. I mean, you brought out these new consoles, and we already spent this $500, whatever, respectively, to get these consoles. You should foot the bill to make sure we have content that takes advantage to play on them. Specifically, meaning if I already purchased the game is what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm saying. You already purchased it. You got to dish out another.
Yeah. So whether they have to help out the third parties on the back end,
yeah.
Whether they have to reimburse them on the back end for now at least. If it's just a simple update, not like a remake, Resident Evil 2 remake type situation. If it's just a simple just upgrading the current game that I already own, I think that should be free like Microsoft are doing, and it should be free through the third parties, and then just Microsoft or PlayStation should have to eat the cost. Because I mean, at this point, yeah, if you want to bring out these consoles and definitely have games to play on them, but I mean, you want to be able to take advantage of the power. Of purchasing them, then yeah, they should, like I said, kind of foot the bill to make sure that we get the optimized experience. As of right now, for with the catalogs that we have now, I think that's how it should be. Microsoft is already doing it, so I'm just saying what they're doing should be should be the standard.
Yeah, I think Microsoft
But
is doing it
but
way
it's
better
not.
than
So
Sony right now. I do. I think like if I had to tell somebody which one to purchase, I would say the Xbox Series X. You still think that's the powerhouse, more powerful console than the PS5? And would that be your suggestion when it comes to power?
I mean it is the
On
most
paper,
powerful.
right?
I mean that's just a fact. I mean we ran into some issues originally. It didn't appear to be the more powerful console because Valhalla and some other games were
Third party
running
load
better on it.
times
With
as well.
third parties getting the GDKs, the development SKUs, getting those sooner than they did the Series X SKUs, and they just kind of ported that over to the Series X consoles. So initially, to Xbox owners' dismay, having a more powerful console, we didn't get to see that right up front because of that. But as time has gone on, which we knew would happen, just like with the Pro versus the X or whatnot. I mean, the stronger console, which is the Series X, and again, I have them both. I love them both. I love games on both. But I mean, it's just yeah, it's in time now that consoles have been out there longer. Um, Developing is going to be developing on both consoles a lot more and using their each of their techniques that they use to get higher frame rates and resolution. But yeah, I mean, Xbox is going to come out on top as far as for the most part. There's always going to be exceptions, but as we get further and further into the generation, I think it's going to be more clear that obviously, even if it's a slight improvement, that the Series X is going to, for the most part, run the third parties better.
Do you feel
And,
Xbox will
and
always be the dominant console when it comes to power? Or do you think that it's getting so close that it's up in the air now? If we ever see a next generation, which I believe we do see a next generation, it will be completely discless and totally
well, no,
digital.
I mean
But do you
we'd have to see that. I mean, that's just. I mean, Xbox wants to. I mean, they
because they
want to
always
be.
have had that track record where we knew Xbox is going to be the most
I mean,
powerful
they.
console. Now it's
Well, not
like
always,
the lines are
because
starting to be
when the Xbox and PS4 first came out, the PS4 was stronger.
in
So the
terms of
Xbox when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One came out, the PlayStation 4 was and is the stronger console, and it
you talking about the base
outperformed
models.
the games. Yeah, and
Gotcha.
So those were out for freaking 5 years. I mean, 5 6 years before the Pro and the series and the Xbox One X came out.
Gotcha.
So for a long, long time, they had the advantage when it came to. And again, there was some random quirks or random games that, for whatever reason, ran better on the Xbox One, but those were more rare, and it's pretty obvious that the PlayStation 4 is more strong, more powerful as far as just specs wise and what they could squeeze out of it, and a lot of that was displayed through resolution, where a lot of games were still 900p versus 1080p when it came to those consoles. So. I mean, it is what it is. It's always going to be. This generation started a little different with the GDKs not being in both developers' hands when they should have been, and the development being slightly easier on the PlayStation 5 initially. So we saw the benefits, which was good for PS5 owners, feeling like even though the hardware was slightly less powerful, that you obviously had a very capable console, which the PS5 is a very capable console. But other than the
Yeah.
storage speed,
It's an
it is
eyesore,
slightly
but you know.
it's slightly inferior as far as tech wise, and how much people actually care about that stuff, what's actually visible, depending on how you're looking at it. I mean, that's subjective, but I mean, yes, on paper, or fact wise, and we were just talking about spec wise. Yeah, the Series X is stronger, and it's probably going to take a slight lead for this generation when it comes to third parties. But I'm more interested to see what the coalition will do with the Unreal Engine 5, and then what Naughty Dog will do with the PS5's capability and faster SSD and such and such. And again, in general, it's a very powerful console as well. So we're yeah.
The
So
PS5
we'll see.
SSD, that thing, you have to take it apart like a damn PC. And I'm not saying it's hard, but what happened to plug and play? Like when you gotta upgrade that's you actually gotta take apart your console. Like I wouldn't like doing that. I like to set mine up and leave it be. But Xbox Series X or PS5, which one looks better?
Yeah, we're gonna disagree on this one. I don't know. I like the style. I like that the PS5 went for something different. I don't hate the Xbox Series X. I mean, it's cool, monolithic type of black tower.
So it's weird because yours
but
like
they
the
had-
clean builds and like something that fits in your.
It's clean.
It's weird to hear
It's
you
clean,
say that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But the PS5 is also sleek, though. I mean, it's not jutting out. I mean, it's she's a tall one, but we have that in common. So I understand. But like
Respect.
in general, I like the I like that they went for something. I like the one for
More ambitious.
And I do like the design. I mean, it is sleek. It's nothing too gaudy. It's not. I mean, it doesn't have stuff poking out every which way from it. You know what I mean? Nothing too crazy. It's a tower as well, but just a slimmer, extremely tall. I don't know. Like I said, it has a little more to it. They definitely made a decision when designing the PS5 and Xbox went their tried and true. We want it to be reliable. We're gonna pack the stuff they started with the Xbox One S, where we're gonna pack in a lot of hardware into a smaller form factor to make it more convenient for some customers. They kind of started that with the Xbox One S,
One
and
S.
again,
Yep.
I'm sorry, One S, but they followed that through with the Xbox One X, making that a smaller console, way more smaller than the Xbox One and then the PS4, blah blah blah, PS4 Pro, and being more powerful. So they followed that type of design aesthetic.
Yeah.
Super powerful.
Get rid of that
put it
power
in
brick was a blessing. Tell you that much.
Put a smaller form factor. But regardless of that, yeah, I still think that the PS5 design wise went for it more and therefore succeeded when it comes to just aesthetically pleasing.
What about the controllers? Do you prefer the PS5 or Xbox Series X controller?
Oh, Xbox always more comfortable.
Haptic feedback. You a fan of it or not? I'm rapid fire questions. I just got to ask you one more thing after that one.
In some games, very cool. On the blah blah Astros Playfield, whatever the hell it's called.
Right.
Definitely has some cool moments. Haven't seen it used, and it hasn't made an impression on any other game.
Hasn't made an impression on any other game. So you haven't felt it in any the bow.
It hasn't made an impression on me in any other game. Playing Spider-Man here,
You haven't felt the web swinging or nothing? Not on Miles Morales you're talking about? You didn't feel any no?
I don't feel guns. I don't feel a huge difference from basic.
That's what I figured.
Vibration.
How would it go?
Was Astros Playland. You felt the sand under your feet. You felt the rain. But it was a demo for that controller.
Right.
Literally
That's what I'm saying. So the only thing is a demo that really shows it, but they're promising games will support it.
It did show that controller has promise. I just don't think that necessarily. Other than that game, there's not any necessarily mind-blowing features or functionality in any game since then.
Interesting. Now, last question. Cyberpunk, have you beaten it? Are you going to wait till it gets optimized whenever that is? Or are you done with the game?
I'm waiting till it's optimized.
Okay.
And then we'll give her a go.
We'll reassess. All right. I feel like we will be having more, more dialogue, having you on the podcast more because I feel it's a good, wholesome, feels natural dialogue, just natural bro conversations. Again, we're chatting with Mayhem, 6'4" Titan. Does that sound better? I left out the weight on that one. No, man, I appreciate it. Like I said, it was a pleasure setting this up. Sorry last week got delayed. I again got the stomach bug, laid me down for a couple of days, but I'm glad we're able to get this off. The beginning of it, I didn't know I was muted. I did your whole intro and it was muted. That I was looking forward to that. I'll be honest with you. And when I play it back, I'm really gonna punch myself in the face because I really wanted to hear that introduction, and I was working on it for a whole week. Okay, because I knew who I was dealing with here. But I feel like it's been a good conversation. You feel the same? Or?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. It's always a good time.
Would you come back on the podcast?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We'll work our schedules out and make something happen. I always enjoy a good game conversation. I mean, we'll maybe organize it a little more. Now that we got this, I guess you want to say somewhat of an intro out the way. If you want to just hit up on current topics or whatnot, or if there's something specifically someone wants us to talk about. Yeah,
you're well received. People love hearing you talk. I guess it's, I don't know. I get complimented on my voice a lot, so I assume it'd be the same with you. I guess they like the dialogue. I've been reading you guys' comments. It's just reading and listening to. I wanted to be fully engaged when listening to his responses. But no, they're saying great podcast. Shouting out Mayhem. They recognize. Okay, they're giving respect to the 6'4", 240,000-pound Goliath. Yeah, so I think I think as next gen hardware starts to get utilized more and we go into the realm of, especially end of this year, maybe we could touch back on Halo, something of that nature. I know you're a busy man with working out, and just got a new house. Let's give a round of applause for that. Congratulations on that as well. Once you get set up there, I know you're a busy man. Maybe we could get something. Okay, everybody calm down. You don't gotta applaud that long. Maybe we can reconvene then. But I appreciate it. It was a privilege. And we'll definitely get back on Battlefield 2042 Sleeper. We'll definitely, see what's going on with that. But I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, no problem.
All right, guys, so that's gonna conclude the Hebrews cast. Be sure to subscribe. Hey, thank you for the echo. Make sure to like, if you haven't liked the stream already, be sure to subscribe if you're new, and share this podcast with like-minded individuals, across the interwebs. Would highly appreciate it. Until next time.
If you dislike it,
cut the track, Phil. He's talking.
It's about Battlefield.
Go ahead.
That's fine too.
What'd you say? I had to have Phil cut the track. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I think they heard me.
Oh, okay. Until next time, it's your boy Young Hebrew. Rest easy.
Cut it or what? So live or what? Oh, no problem. Good time, bro. Love you.